damn, your voice sounds sexy. You sexy man, you. You're sexy and you got a nice butt.
Yo. This will never be on the radio.
Cagno Radio. Start now.
Episode 56 of Cagno Radio begins right this second. Joe is here. We got a couple of beers. Yours must have had a hole in the bottom.
Yeah, I know. I don't know where you get these Coors Lights from.
Can I just put something out there, though, for a second? That Coors Light, when I went to the store today to buy it because I didn't have any because I don't own any, was $5 for a six-pack. Mm-hmm. That should tell you how great of a beer it really is.
Well, see, that's the thing. But it's the calories. Like, it's Coors Light. So it doesn't make you feel like all bloaty.
Okay.
And if I want to drink 26 of them tonight,
I did think it was a little weird that you had an Uber here. That you got dropped off. How awkward would that be, though, legitimately, if you
my mom dropped me off, and then I Uber home.
But how awkward would that be if you showed up, you're like, hey, I took a car, if you know what I'm saying?
Hey, it's my Friday. I can do whatever I want.
That's right. I forgot that it's your Friday on Tuesday.
Tuesdays are my Fridays. I can do whatever I want. This is my night to let loose.
Okay, why don't you give a Renshaw drop before we get any farther? Because no one will know what. Once again, I have to explain to you how this thing works. So I'm going to be at Renshaw's at noon on Wednesday.
Tomorrow. You're like, no, it doesn't drop until Wednesday night.
We don't drop it till it's time.
We don't drop it till it's hot.
Somebody sent in a thing about last week's episode 55, that I wanted to tell you. And they said it's not a dirty little secret, but in your last episode, it reminded me that when I was 17 and working at a restaurant, I got pissed because all the smokers got breaks and non-smokers didn't. So I lied and told my boss that I smoked just so I could have smoke breaks. But really, I just sat outside with candy cigarettes. I don't know why the candy cigarettes helps out with that whole thing.
No, it doesn't.
Makes it even funnier.
I was kind of thinking after the show, what about like a dip break? Could you go out and like throw a plug in? You know what I mean? And just sit back there and spit?
Of Skull Rascals, whatever they're called. Skull Bandits.
Just some Copenhagen long cut. And just throw that in there. Just some Red Man.
I remember when we were in high school, they had this brilliant idea at Dondero High School to have a smoking section for students.
Oh, we had it too, yeah.
And then they had a dipping section that was like outside by the parking lot. Like it was just a grassy area because they were like, it was probably the student council's great idea to be like, you know what we should do? We should be all inclusive. Like this was way before there was all inclusive for everything else that there is now.
Right.
Where everybody's like, oh yeah, you know what? We should be cool to everyone who's gay, transgender, anyone who identifies as a vegetable, like whatever it is. Like
back then it was like, hey, if you vote for me for student council, I'll have chicken nuggets every day and a dip section.
Anyways, they did this, and I remember it was a big to-do when they found out that it was completely and utterly against the law to have a smoking section for people that was under 18. I mean, you had to be 18 to smoke, so like you couldn't be like, all 14-year-olds that feel like they want to smoke, all freshmen, go out.
They need a drag.
Get out to the smoking section.
Hey, if you're 15 and your day's just so stressful that you need a big old drag, a big old pull off of Pall Mall. And head on out the
and I remember
East Locker.
Being 14 years old and a freshman, I was gangly and nerdy. But I just remember being scared to death of walking past that smoker section because I felt like all the burnouts was going to come get me.
Oh, for sure. And if it was a girl who smoked, it was like she might as well be a biker chick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like girl smokers are what freak me out. Because like the dudes, you were like, okay, like, all right, I kind of understand that. But, like, you'd see a girl and you're like, okay, I think she's attractive, but she's wearing a denim vest with an Iron Maiden back patch, and she's putting down Marlboro no filters.
Right, yes. She was,
That's hardcore.
Right, absolutely. And the thought of a girl smoking was so cool back then. Like, I was the kind of guy who was such a dork, but I thought it was cool to smoke. I remember we worked with this guy who worked at Oak Ridge with us.
Yep.
He had a chain wallet and smoked, and I was like, he is the coolest
And he
man
started
alive.
BD's Mongolian barbecue.
He did.
We talked about that earlier, yeah.
Did we ever talk about that on the...
Oh, yeah, we did. That we could have been in on the ground floor.
Of BD's Mongolian barbecue. He moved to London to start that version of it, too.
I ate at BD's Mongolian on Monday, and it's the first time I've eaten there in a decade since the incident.
Did you have pure diarrhea the minute you ate there?
Did not. They have changed how they do things.
Okay, tell me about it.
Which worked in my favor. It used to be all the meats and stuff to keep them moist. they would put them in oil. So like you'd like get
Oh,
your
really?
Yeah, they like put like olive oil or something on them. So like you'd get your meat and you put it in your bowl and it was already oily. Then if you remember, Mongolians always told you make sure you put a ladle of oil in your bowl. So the meat was already oily. You'd put it.
My skin was already oily.
My skin was oily. The meat was oily. You'd then add a ladle of oil to your bowl. Then you'd take it up to the grill. The guy would oil the grill, and then put your stuff on it.
At what point does he hit the gong?
Only when you tip.
Oh, is that what it was?
When you tipped, the gong got hit. And then
let's just say I never got there.
You had 9 tablespoons of oil in your stuff, and that just went through me. So now when we went, I was fully prepared to like, okay, I'm going to have diarrhea. I'm just going to accept it. And I get there, and the meat, instead of having like a giant thing of meat that they had to keep like moist and juicy, which those 2 words probably just turned a bunch of people vegan.
People are like, oh, God, I don't ever want to eat meat again after I just heard Joe say moist and juicy meat.
Right. So instead of this big tray, it's just a little thing, and they constantly refill it. And then you go up, you put your sauces on, your veggies, and then you go up, and the guy asks you, like the grill's already just a little bit oiled. And then he asks you, do you want me to add oil or butter to this? And I'm like, no. He cooked my food, tasted fantastic, didn't have anything.
Wow.
I was fine.
You're a believer again.
I'm a believer again.
See, because I was really into Mongolia when it first started, and because I'm allergic to nuts, I always have to watch that noise. Like I have to be like, can you cook it on a separate Mongolian grill?
The dude that stood next to me, he comes and stands next to me, and he gives the guy his bowl, and he's like, I have a seafood allergy. Could you please not use anything that touched seafood?
And we're like, nerd.
Yeah, and I looked at him like, oh, here we go. And then like the guy's like, oh yeah, no problem. And he goes and he brings out these 2 like iron things that look like they'd be in a Marilyn Manson video, like attached to his legs. And he like puts them
people.
And then he puts sweet dreams are made of.
Did he put them on his legs or use them as?
No, he put them like on the grill to like separate. Like this guy's an idiot because he has an allergy.
Because all people with or allergies are idiots.
Exactly. This guy's got a seafood allergy, so therefore he's an idiot. We need to make sure that he's an idiot. So they put these huge like braces on the side of his food and then cooked it. So
vapor lock it in.
Yeah. But smoking.
Yes, back to smoking.
So back to smoking. So
nice segue back to that.
Yeah.
Okay, the reason we are sort of preoccupied, I will tell you.
You're preoccupied. I'm not.
Oh no, I'm totally preoccupied because I have a leader dog that we're raising, a 9-week-old. Actually, she's 10 weeks old. He's going up the stairs.
Yeah, he's like, I'm done down here.
Should I put him in his cage?
Yeah, put him in his cage.
Yeah, let me go do that. Hang on. Right. So we just had to take a quick break because I am raising a leader dog and not doing a very good job at it.
He seems like a follower dog to me.
Yeah, he's supposed to, in a year, be given back to the leader dog of America and going to be given to someone who's either visually impaired or blind. Like, that's the goal. He's 10 weeks old, and he is busy. Like, this whole time we've been talking about smoking and Mongolian barbecue, he's been walking around the basement, like, getting into stuff.
Like, figuring out where he can poop.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think he was thinking of probably pooping in the house because he's really good at that and really good at fighting with my dog.
Right.
We have a 3-year-old golden retriever who, at first, spent most of the weekend that we got this other dog, Marshall, outside. Like, he just wanted to be outside away from this dog. Now, they just want to fight.
Right.
Like, wrestle, bite at each other. Marshall's neck's always wet. Like, he's always wet from, like, coat.
So's mine.
Yeah.
From sebum.
What's sebum?
Sebum is like when you remember Bob Bashara?
Yes.
Remember, like, the pictures of him in court?
What was it? No, not Bob. What would they call him? Dungeon Bob.
Dungeon Bob. He just had, like, the worst zits all over the back of his neck. Like those huge ones that pulsate like a gremlin. Like a mogwai that's about to launch eggs. That's sebum. Like when your skin produces that thick grease on the back of your neck.
Yeah, that's what yours does?
It doesn't.
But for the
joke, You were like, his neck's always wet. So I was like, mine is too, with sebum.
Yeah.
And then I thought you'd start laughing.
I didn't know
but then
what
when you have to give a Wikipedia answer.
I thought you said Seagram's, to be honest with you.
Seagram's.
Seagram's Golden Wine Coolers,
Yeah.
blessed by the one and only Bruno.
Right. Well, let me ask you this. Did leader dogs...
Wait, back up. What was, not Bruno, what he went by Bruno?
I don't have a clue what you're talking
Bruce
about.
Willis. Remember, he was Bruno when he sang. It's wet and it's dry. Golden wine cooler.
Seagram's Golden Wine Cooler.
It's wet and it's dry. My. I just remember those commercials being like, he is the
Did
coolest.
he play harmonica? He knew 2 notes on the harmonica, and he just rode that for as long as he could.
Okay, those are the leader dogs. What you're saying?
Did leader dogs meet Coach?
No. We volunteered to raise a puppy into,
Right.
and then give it back.
Okay, so
And-
I see where this is going.
Yeah, so we had this grandiose idea that we were going to be good puppy raisers. And so far it's been fine, but one of the many things that my wife has done
But
to
I
me,
think we talked about this before.
we didn't talk about it in the podcast yet. We have not talked about this.
Oh,
We-
really?
we-
So with the thought of you raising a leader dog, you realize you've raised 2 others.
I've raised 2
Right.
other dogs that have been unruly.
To say the least.
Yeah, I would say
To say the least, and this made you think, hey, let's raise a dog for people who will eventually be blind and have this thing.
I think
like
they're
if
al-
I-
I
if
think
I-
they're already blind.
Right.
They don't get to be eventually blind.
So basically, in your family room right now is
Coach,
Coach,
who's a 3-year-old.
right, and Marshall.
Who almost knocked you over when you
Right. So in your living room right now, you have Marshall, who is the little one, and Coach, who could be Marshall in 3 years. Would you put a leash on on Coach and give that to a blind person?
No, I wouldn't give that. Put him on a leash and give him to you, who's somebody who knows how to walk dogs and doesn't need any special training.
And so at what point did you and your wife go, you know what? I think we're good dog parents.
No.
We could raise a special needs dog.
Okay, here's the thing.
You're like, here's the thing. They pay you $5,000. I was out of work. I put in the app. They accepted it. It paid some bills.
They don't pay you anything for doing this, but we felt like it was okay. Who am I kidding? My wife did it without asking me.
Okay, so now we're getting to the
Yeah,
bottom
she
of
did it
things.
without asking me, and then said,
And she thought you guys did a bang-up job on Coach and Jack, right?
"Yes,
Okay.
Jack could have been worse than Coach."
Okay. And that's because her job takes her away 80% of the time. So she's only seeing the dog 20% of the time, and it's pretty good.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know if she's delusional or what it is.
Yeah.
And just a heart of gold. I mean, salt of the earth. Just really,
Right.
just a heart of gold.
Right. Just-
and
yeah.
So one of the
Very
things
warm person.
Yeah, one of the things that Wendy did that was nice though was that she got this dog. So she says, "Okay, we're on this waiting list to get the dog." And then she called me one day and said, "It just got real. We got a call that there's a 9-week-old golden retriever and yellow lab mixed puppy that needs a home. What do you think?" So I'm like, well, you know what I mean? What's the worst?
You're like, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I'm at a job fair. Like, I'm at a job
Oh,
fair.
great.
I'm
Another
about to
freaking mouth to feed.
I'm about to talk to the Riff and Long John Silver's.
They got a promotions opening. An internship. I'm going to start at the bottom again. I'm going to hand out stickers at the Lilith Fair again.
For Long John Silver's. We got all the shrimp you can eat week coming up. Hush Puppy Fest.
I got an interview at Quicken Loads,
Right.
the Riff,
Right.
and also at Long John Silver's. Can I call you back in a moment?
Because I thought you said something about a puppy.
So anyway, so she tells me this puppy is coming, and I'm like, okay, typical, right? A guy that just is like trying to make his wife happy. She gets this dog. We get this dog. We have him for a week. Then she goes out of town this week. She's gone the entire week.
Yeah.
So like I have to work around the dog and the fact that he poops in the cage. I would say 75% of the time.
Okay.
70. Like there's a really good chance that when we go upstairs after we're done recording this podcast, there will be dog crap in the cage. Now, before you ask the question of how will you know because you will smell it from 40 yards away. Let me just tell everybody out there listening.
I think everybody listening has smelled dog crap.
No, but I'm telling you, there is something so amazing that water in your toilet does. It blocks the stench. Like when you're like, oh my God, I tore it up in the bathroom. Just imagine what that would smell like when there's no water to break that barrier.
Right.
Where it's like, I just decided to take a poop on a,
Well, I mean,
piece of cellophane.
That's a porta-john.
Yes.
When everybody birthday cakes. Once it's mounded up past the level of the liquid, and then you're just birthday caking layer upon layer.
Have you ever opened up a Porta-John and it's coming out of the toilet? Like there's poop?
Yes, I have seen that
Which I wonder.
The Mount Everest.
Yeah, what was the person thinking that decided to say, hey, listen, it's even with the top. I'm just going to add on to it. And where were you sitting? Wasn't it touching
But here's
your
the thing.
butthole?
You're thinking about like someone who's sitting on their couch watching a movie and then decides, oh, I have to poop. That's not who we're talking about. We're talking about Warp Tour. Yeah. Someone who's throwing down a bunch of beers and chili dogs, and then they're like, I can't hold it.
Yeah.
So you either poop yourself or you squat on top of the toilet. Like your feet are up there.
I imagine you're up there like Gollum.
Exactly.
Precious.
That's exactly it. And then you're just blown out. My sister asked me today, she texted me yesterday actually. She texted me, could you and Cal not use the word butthole on the show? She said the word butthole really drives me crazy. I said no promises.
Yeah, no promises.
But I think in a story like this, it's needed that if you're up there like Gollum and you just aim that butthole like a bombardier, World War II bombardier, and you just
place it where it needs to go.
Because you're not at that point. You're not sitting on the seat.
You're like squatty potty without the squatty potty.
Yeah.
Which I kind of want to get the squatty potty.
I don't know what. That's the thing where it elevates your legs.
Yeah, it's almost like I think it's like if you put your feet on a footstool.
See, I don't understand the science behind that. Because I would think that would like squish you more.
No, it puts your legs up. I think it's like Happy Baby, but for pooping.
See, I would think pooping would be better if you're straight. Like you know how when people are like scared to dive off a diving board, they just go and they call it like penciling?
Yeah, pencil dive.
Yeah, pencil dive. But if you put I'm standing here as if I'm just standing up straight with my hands straight up in the air.
You're saying let gravity pull it right out of you.
Yeah, I would think you'd want your body stretched out so everything can flow out, especially someone who's had twisted intestines. Like, I don't want to be curled up more, like in more of a fetal
Supposedly,
position.
it's putting your knees up, your knees closer to your chest, that makes it so it's an even, just really straight shot right out the butthole. Kind of like a dog poops.
Yeah, just right out the old butthole, Sarah.
Yeah, there you go, Sarah. You can have that one. That one's free.
Fucking thing sucks. I can't do it. We'll do it live. No. We'll do it live. F it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Not an option. Forget about it.
Cagno Radio.
I will tell you one thing right now that happened to me this evening before you got here, and I want your just straight up reaction.
Was it a teacher that you went to high school with who admitted to listening to this podcast?
Okay, that makes no sense. Yes, no, that makes no sense. It was not that my old coach, Sam Lynch, who's a listener of the podcast. Yeah, don't say where he works though, because I don't know that he would get in trouble for
listening to us. I don't think we're that bad.
No, I don't think so either.
We're kind of family friendly.
Yeah, kind of. I was talking to somebody who does a podcast in Detroit, was listening to us, and he was like, "You guys don't use a lot of salty language. Is that on purpose?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess kind of. I mean, you know, I do."
My standard is I kind of want my kids to be able to listen, and I don't have to explain a bunch of stuff to them.
Right, exactly. I mean, we're not. I wouldn't say we're P like G. But I wouldn't say, but like seriously, I'm not going for a hard R. Like there's really no, like to me, I don't need shock value. I'm not like, we're like the jackass of podcasts.
Right.
Do you remember when Steve-O was on crazy hillbilly heroin?
Hey,
that's what we're like.
Have you ever heard of this guy? Maybe you have. His name's Howard Stern. I'm not trying to be the Howard Stern of podcasting.
We make Howard Stern look like Mother Teresa. Don't you hate when people say Teresa?
Right.
They'll be like, what do you think? You're the Mother Teresa
Mother
of this?
Teresa? My grandma, God rest her soul, she was always...
Rest in peace, darn.
Yeah, rest in peace, darn. She was always good for mispronouncing a name. And the best was one night, and the one we still joke about, and I still call him this because of her, and she was like, have you guys seen that TV show called Jerry Seinfeld? It was Jerry Seinfeld. And no matter how much we told her, no, it's Jerry Seinfeld. Jerry Seinfeld, that's a funny show.
My aunt used to say Merwin's instead of Mervin's. Remember that store that was kind of like
Yeah.
Kohl's?
Yeah.
So I think we're going to stop by Merwin's. And, you're like, what'd you say? Merwin's?
It's the German way. V's or W's, W's or V's.
We're going to stop by, get some Docker slacks from Merwin's.
With the pleats.
So anyways, we thank you for listening to this. Thank you to Coach Lynch. I still call him Mr. Lynch. I saw him a couple of years ago.
Still call him Coach, obviously.
Yeah, I call him Coach Lynch because he was my basketball coach too. But I saw him not too long ago. Mind you, I'm 41 years old. And he was like, listen, Cal, you don't have to call
But here's
me.
the thing.
He's like, you don't have to call me.
You're 41. He's like 43.
Yeah, that's what's so funny. You look at these people, and it's funny. Some of these student teachers we had, or coaches, they were, like you said, they were only a few years older than us.
Yeah, they were like right out of college.
Right. And so, yeah.
So that's what, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22
you
years
could
old.
be conceivably 22 and be a student teacher. Think about that.
Yeah.
Like where you're like, hey, if I was 26 and you were 22, we could date, but since you're my student, we can't.
Well,
just to make this clear, we can't, right?
Right.
We can't.
Right, we can't do this. We can't
I mean,
do
we're
this.
both adults.
You can't do this. Just say yes. We can't do this, though, can we?
Just wink at me. But I mean, seriously, if I was single and we met at
If
Mr.
I was
B,
30 and you were 27, we wouldn't even be having this
it would be
discussion.
ridiculous. If we were that age, we woke up in the same bed after a sweet, sweet one night stand, it wouldn't even be a
It
thing.
wouldn't be nothing. I mean, your parents would probably be begging me to ask you to marry me.
I just say it.
What are we talking about?
Yeah,
I don't know what we're talking
I'm
about.
just saying, if things were different, and again, an alternate universe.
Let's just say in an alternate universe where there is no right and wrong. Wouldn't it be cool?
let's say I'm
I
not
can just
your.
wake up every morning, make Cheerios, and cut up cantaloupe for you.
I will cut up cantaloupe, muskmelon.
Muskmelon, honeydew. Is a muskmelon honeydew?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's the same
I think they're the
thing.
same thing. We always call it.
It's the side of the Mississippi you're on. I think out west it's
My
muskmelon.
folks used to call it muskmelon growing up, and also my mom used to be like, "Do you want me to cut up some muskmelon with some ice cream?" Like that was some sort of treat.
like
I'm like,
musk.
dude,
Like
is
musk.
it muskmelon or mustmelon?
I think it's muskmelon. But like, isn't musk like what you say when like you're like, I can smell that guy's armpits. I can smell his musk. Like, I don't want that melon.
I just want to go back to
I
this
think
teacher hitting on
honeydew-
the student.
Well, let's go,
I
back,
just did-
let's
in
go
my-
back to what started the whole thing prior to.
Okay, so anyways, so we want to thank anybody who ever was affiliated with us in high school for the support.
Right.
I was also hosting I almost said celebrity, a charity auction this weekend in Royal Oak.
Okay.
For the Royal Oak Rotary Club.
Okay.
So I was the person, the auctioneer. And
You're like, hey, nah, 20, 25, 25.
no, I was just at one point. I was like, "Can everybody, if you want to freaking talk, just go outside." We were at Red
you
Run.
really?
I was like, "Listen, here's the ground rules. Michigan plays at 9:50 tonight. It was Saturday night. Michigan plays at 9:50. If everybody can shut their yappers till I can get you out of here by 9:40." I said, "If you work with me, I'll work with you." People came up afterwards like, "Thanks, bro, for saying what needed to be said." I'm like, "What? Shut your yapper?" Like,
And they're like, by the way, next year we're going to get somebody else to do that.
we've got Dave and Chuck coming.
We got Dave Coulier lined up.
Cut it out.
Because we thought it'd be cool when he talks to that chipmunk voice to sell some items, to really move some items. He'd be like,
Did you say what?
right, exactly. Exactly.
He's like, "Yeah, we got this new cutting board. It's shaped like the state of Michigan." Is that thing made of wood?
I want to punch you so hard right now. Like, so hard I want to punch you. That voice just irritates me. Like, the fact that it's coming out of a grown man's face. I want to punch you.
Okay, so anyways, back to the original thing that I started
Right.
to say, which was
Sam Lynch.
no, it has nothing to do with Sam Lynch.
Okay.
It has to do with that I teared up at Real Steel, that movie tonight. It was on TNT.
Real Steel.
Have you ever seen that movie? Hugh Jackman,
No, I've never seen it. But
the girl from Lost.
the ring girl, the girl who's like a ring girl in it, was a model at the auto show. And when I worked in Detroit, I was like walking by. Here I am, like a rookie, my like first couple months on the job, and I'm walking by, and this model at the auto show is like, hey, what's going on? And I'm like looking around like, who's she talking to? And I'm like,
She's like, do you want to hear about the new Chevy Silverado?
yeah, I'm like, you talking to me? And she's like, yeah, what's going on? And I'm like, nothing. Like, what's going on with you? And so I end up having this honest to God 45-minute discussion with this girl, and she's like a model, but we're not talking about anything just like dumb. Like, she's like, you know, do you have kids? And so I'm like, yeah, I got kids. So the next year, it comes to town, and
you're a big fan, so you go.
Yeah, so I'm a huge fan of the auto show, of course. Who isn't in Detroit? So I go, I'm walking by, and she's like, hey, Joe, what's up? A year later.
Wow.
I don't know this girl's name.
She's very taken by you.
I think she was, here's the deal. I think she's a car model, or she was a model. You
like
know,
a spokesperson.
Yeah, she worked for a modeling agency. And so I just think that all day long, dudes were just fawning all over her and creepy with her. And I was just kind of just chit-chatting like normal stuff. So I think she looked at me as just like a normal dude who wasn't trying to hit on her, who wasn't trying to do any of that. I was married at the time.
Right.
It was just normal conversation.
She was talking to you about your kids, which is the ultimate in like, they're not interested in me.
Exactly. And so,
don't tell me about your wife. You're like, crap.
Right.
Okay,
and I think I went home and I told my wife, I'm like, yeah, I chit-chatted with this girl who, you know,
is a spokesmodel.
Is a spokesmodel and all this stuff. So anyway, a year goes by. I see her. She's like, hey, Joe, what's up? I'm like, oh, my gosh, she remembers me. So we go back to chit-chat. And she was like, how are your kids doing? She's like, they're... And she rattles off their ages.
She's psycho, for the record.
So
yeah, she's a little bit too taken with you.
So then I'm like, oh, you know, hey, they're great.
How's that bitch ex-wife of yours? Congratulations on the divorce. You're like, what?
So she's like, anyway, back to Real Steel. Like, I'm talking to her. I'm like, great. Like, how's your year been? She's like, fantastic. She's like, I was in a movie. I was in Real Steel.
Yep.
I was a ring girl. You know, like all this stuff. And now I think she's like on some radio station in the area.
Good for her.
Yeah. Like, I think she's
Do
like
you know her name?
I can't remember
Because she
it.
certainly remembers you.
I can't remember it.
She's probably listening to this right now, just weeping.
Right,
She
just
was like-
crying.
She goes, I wrote into misconnections on
Right.
Craigslist 12 times.
I broke up with Leonardo DiCaprio because I thought I'd still had a chance with him. And he doesn't remember my name.
Anyways, Real Steel you've never seen?
I've never seen it.
Imagine this. Taped in Detroit, so there's a lot of Detroit going on, right? It's Hugh Jackman, some kid, the girl from Lost, Kate.
Okay.
Super cute. Story of like a broken man. He's, you know, a little down on his luck. Bad father. Gets
Right.
custody of the kid somehow. They build a robot, a fighting robot, to go into the fighting robot ring. It's like an underground circuit at first. It's like on Belle Isle. And they're fighting this robot. And, you know, of course, these little, you know, ragtag parts put together.
Right.
But by the end, they're at Kobo.
So if this movie was done like 30 years ago, it would have been like a soapbox car that they
Right,
built.
exactly. It's
But
like,
they're doing a killing machine.
yeah, it's like but they fight other robots.
Okay.
And of course, you know, it's like the bad, like Asian gang of
Oh,
robots.
so it's not fighting Butterbean?
Do you remember the Tough Man contest?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so I teared up the end of it when the robot wins. That's it. That was all I was going to
Oh,
tell you.
spoiler, okay.
No, but the robot, dude, of course he's going to win.
Okay.
And it's all in slow motion. Like, and the thing about it is Hugh Jackman is like moving his arms, and the robot like sort of mimics him. So like
Okay.
he's in the corner punching away, and the robot's punching, and
Right.
the girl Kate from Lost is screaming.
It's like shadow boxing when I heard it on the right date.
Guess what
Oh.
song? No, guess
Ooh,
what
I
song's
just
in there? Till I collapse, I'm feeling these raps long as you feel them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that
Little Eminem?
Yeah, I like that song. But anyways, do you remember the Tough Man contest?
Yeah.
For those that don't remember, long before MMA, there was a thing called the Tough Man. And it first started with this. You could show up at Cobo Arena and go toe-to-toe with another man that showed up that night that wanted to fight.
That signed the waiver.
Yeah, you both sign the waiver, you get in the ring, and you beat the heck out of each other.
At 5 p.m., neither one of you were thinking about being in a Tough Man. You got out of work at the plant. You went to the bar. After a few drinks, a guy came in the bar and said, hey, you want to win 10 grand?
Yeah.
Head down to Cobo. So you have 8, 9, 10, Budweisers in you. You're like, dude, I could whip someone's tail for 10 grand.
I got in a fight in high school and won.
Yeah. So you headed down to Cobo, and all your buddies came and supported you. You signed the waiver. You called your wife, said you got a flat tire. Next thing you know, 20 minutes later, you're in front of 20,000 people, and it's just you and a guy from the next bar over.
Just fight.
And you guys just fight.
Yeah, and that was it. And if you lost, you got nothing. I think if you won, you went on, right? Like,
you went on, and then it was like a bracket.
Yeah, but it was just crazy. And then they realized, I think that was highly illegal that you could just have two people off the street fighting, because I think there were some people that were much better than the others. Like guys get knocked out like one
heck
punch.
yeah.
And then the crowd would just love it.
Yeah.
I mean, just love it. And then there was the Butterbean
Yep.
incident. Now, Butterbean, to explain what he looked like, was like Uncle Fester, and he wore red, white, and blue trunks, kind of like Rocky did in Rocky 4.
He would look like me if I wore red, white, and blue trunks.
No, you're not. You are not shaped like Butterbean. I think he's probably
I was
5'5".
I was fishing for compliments there. Thank you. Thank you.
He's probably 5'5" and probably is he dead?
No, he's not
Butterbean?
dead.
He could be dead.
But what I do know,
Kimbo Slice is dead. To be clear,
is he?
Kimbo Slice is dead.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's dead. Anyways, but yeah, so you
So
would
matter of fact.
Yeah, well, no, I just know he is because I remember watching those
But
videos.
I do know one of my favorite video games of all time is on what's it called for Xbox is
Barbie.
Fight Night Champions.
Yeah.
And it's got like all these famous boxers, and Butterbean is
So
one
this
of them.
Butterbean guy was not even a boxer. He just put on boxing gloves, and you could go in the ring with Butterbean. And this dude had like the craziest punches. Like he would throw these haymakers and just knock fools out.
Yeah, he couldn't lose. So year after year, he won Tough Man every single year. Like the actual winner of Tough Man was the guy who actually came in second place because Butterbean just won. And then they eventually were just like, we could eliminate all this and just, if you want to fight Butterbean, get in the ring.
Yeah, that was the thing. Originally, you could fight each other, and Butterbean was one of the contestants. But then it was like, hey, who wants a shot at Butterbean? And then you could get in there, and he'd whip your ass in front of, in front of your mom.
Like
Okay,
destroy you.
bottom line, which one is worse? Getting your ass kicked in front of your kid or in front of your girlfriend or wife? Again,
Your kids.
It's got to happen.
Your
It's
kids.
got. You're at a Lions game. Something, someone
Kids.
spills a beer on you.
You don't have to keep going. Kids.
It escalates, and you're like, "Hey, listen, I don't want to fight." And the guy's like, "No, we're going to fight, and it's going to be a very one-way fight, and I'm going to beat the hell out of you." And you're going to be like begging, like, "Sir, please stop!"
Right.
Again,
In front of your kids. Because your kids will grow up the rest of their life thinking that, like, dad's a sissy. Whereas, like, your wife or your girlfriend
would be like, "God, get off it!"
Yeah, and they'll be like,
he
"Well, what's
sucker
the-"
bet you.
Exactly. You can kind of talk yourself out of that. Babe, I was just trying to, I didn't want to
Yeah.
make a big scene.
Yeah, I totally would have whipped
And
him
he sucker punched me. He brought one out of left field. I wasn't even looking.
while I was taking off my shirt to fight. He hit me.
Right.
You know how I am. I have to have my shirt off.
You know how it goes. I didn't want to wreck my Ed Hardy shirt.
But yeah, your kids would be the worst, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, so yeah, the Tough Man contest, I was telling somebody about this yesterday, of all the times for this to come up, and they were like, this was a real thing? I'm like, oh yeah. It was the stuff
I
that
lived
dreams.
through-
Yeah,
I lived
this
through
is
the
the
days
stuff.
of Tough Man.
Imagine no cell phone, so nobody had any video of it, but it went down. This was like Toledo rules.
Yep. It was
It was kind of like Fight Club, but
it was
sort
a
of.
day in time where a waiver just said, I won't sue if I get hurt. And you just signed it.
And Mike Morse, a young Mike Morse, was in the audience, like, how can I make money off these
Right.
guys kicking the hell out of each other?
Right.
Yeah, and that's how that was born. 1-800-Mike-WINS, go for the win.
Thank you very much for this, for giving me this. And I appreciate my friends also. My wife and my girlfriend. My wife. Yeah, sorry to say. I'm so sorry, my wife. Listen, I love you so much.